Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex. I am a real estate investor, and today I have a video giving you the step-by-step playbook for how to buy your first rental property in 30 days. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, how to buy your first rental in 30 days. So, first, I want to go over the proof, promise, and plan here. So, who am I? Why to listen to me? I'm definitely not Grant Cardone, but I do have 12 of my own units. I acquired them very quickly at the start of my career, just pretty much after I started investing here. Um, Most of mine are buy and hold, just traditional. I'm planning on just keeping them as rentals. I actually own the majority of them on creative finance. I do have quite a few that are just on regular traditional bank loans as well. I do self-manage from out of state. So I have experience in property management, long distance management. I also have worked on a wholesale team where I was actually a closer. My job was to basically go out, underwrite a deal, get a seller to sign a contract with a good deal. And I've done that over 140 times. So that's kind of who I am, my experience. My promise here, and I show you how to get your first real estate deal under contract in 30 days. So here's the three-step plan. First, step number one, we're going to build the foundation, set ourselves up for success. Two, run the numbers. Three, due diligence and close. That's pretty simple. So starting with step one. So this is, format's all fucked up, that's weird, but this is building the foundation. So step one. So this is going to be, you're going to want to develop a very specific buy box. And what a buy box is essentially like what you want to buy. And if something lands inside that buy box, you're buying. You don't even need to think about it. So if your buy box is this specific area, this specific asset type within this price range, and it gets me this return, like if those things are true and something lands in that buy box, bam, you don't even have to think about it. You're buying it. And if it's out of that, nope, not buying it. So it makes it very easy to, when you got the green lights, to go ahead, and it also lets you know like what you should spend your time on, what you should be underwriting stuff. So kind of some tips for developing that buy box. Starting with location, if possible, it's always good to do it in your backyard. It's going to be the easiest place to start. If that's not really an option, there's a good book, yeah, Long Distance Real Estate Investing. Check that out. But it's totally possible to invest not in your market. Reasons to not invest in your market, maybe there's like a declining population or a very low population, or all the jobs are in literally like one industry or one company. Like that would kind of freak me out a little bit. But in general, you want to pick places, growing population, above 200,000 people, things like that. So that's going to help with your location. Asset type. Are you looking for single family properties, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes? Are you looking for, big apartment buildings, self-storage facility, RV parks, right? You want to figure out what type of property you're wanting to buy. Price, that's kind of going to be specific to, your market, one, and two, like how much capital you have, how big of a down payment you have, that sort of thing. And the returns you want. So again, this is going to be your preference, right? So you have to decide like, hey, if it gets me this return, I'm pulling the trigger. I'm doing it. So this is kind of a number that you're gonna have to make up, right? So, and if like the stock market can get you 7% ish, on average when you take into account inflation, maybe for you it's double that. Maybe if it gets you 14%, like I'm in. So that's step one for building the foundation, and then the other part of building the foundation is assembling the dream team. So this is going to be the people who are in your power circle, and who's going to help you get this deal done. So the first one is going to be an agent. An agent, honestly, is going to be like very, very key, and they're going to help you get the rest of these too. So this one's very important, getting a good agent, especially on your first rental property. You want to use an agent who's done this before, who is an investor themselves, who understands this process, and who has lots of different connections, right? So a good agent, honestly, on the buyer side is going to be worth their weight in gold, with that caveat that it is a good agent for sure. So you want to find a good agent. They're going to save you from making all the mistakes and all the things that you don't know about. Because right now you're in that phase, like you don't even know what you don't know. There's so many landmines, booby traps that you don't know exist. And the agent's going to be like, hey, don't do that. Look out for that. There's a pothole there. There's a landmine there. There's a cliff over there. Um, so they're going to totally save you a bunch of money. So get a good agent. Where to find that agent? I would look for other like investor referrals. Who are the other investors in that market using? You can use them. You can go on Bigger Pockets, search your city. Look for active agents in the Bigger Pockets forums. You can also go on investor Facebook pages, see who the agent recommendations are there, who's active in the investor group, and that's going to be the main ways you're going to find a good investor savvy agent. And then once you do, you get a couple names, call them up, interview them, ask them about their investment experience, that sort of thing. You want an agent that is investing, ideally in the thing that you want to invest in. Another thing you're going to want to do is get your banker, and get your contractor, and get your property manager, assuming you're going to pay somebody to manage it. And then again, if this is a good agent who's actively investing, they're going to have good contacts for all these three. So you basically really want to spend your time, energy, and effort identifying a good agent. And this shouldn't be a super long process. Honestly, like in a couple hours, you can get like 5 names. You can have a 20-minute interview with each one. Like this is going to get done in one day for sure. So step number 2 is running the numbers. So what you're going to want to do here, this is going to be the work, the grind, the meat and potatoes of this process, honestly. Identify 5 potential properties per day. Like, hey, that might fit my buy box. Let me sit down, run the numbers. So you've identified 5 of them. Now you're going to want to underwrite those properties. And here is a little calculator that I made just for my own stuff. It's definitely not like the best ever, but it's just the one I use, and you guys can use it too. So this one, basically, you can see I've got different sections. I've got 3 columns, one for a 20% down payment, one for a 10% down payment, and this one's like a custom down payment that you can edit. Essentially, I'm going to share this with you guys. It'll be in the description for you all to use, but here is my basic process for how I start to underwrite these deals, just quickly on the fly. So here you enter the purchase price. Here you'd enter the closing costs. It's going to be specific for your market, what type of loan you're getting, XYZ, but you can enter a percentage there. And then enter the renovations that this property is going to need to get like up to speed, essentially. So then it's going to spit out a cash total, right? How much cash you're going to need to do this deal. And then here, these should be gray, so you can enter the rent amounts. Here you can enter the income. So like let's say for this one, this property would rent for $1,200 a month. Great. And then here's where you enter in your expenses. So first is your PITI. What's your mortgage payment? Including tax and insurance. Let's say it's $750. And then what is going to be your maintenance, management, vacancy, and capital expenditures? So just to run through these here, like the toilet is going to leak, the whatever XYZ is going to happen. There's going to be a bird's nest that needs to be knocked down. Stuff like that. Just the continual maintenance of owning a piece of property. So you want to budget a percentage for that each month, and usually this is as a percentage of the total income of the property. So definitely going to depend on your location, your tenant type. Is this a higher end property, a lower end property? But I think 7% is a pretty fair place to start. Your agent will probably be able to help you budget for this too, because they're going to know more about your specific market, the age of your property, the type of tenant that would be renting this particular property. But you can start with 7. Management, most property managers are going to charge around 10% for a single family house. You can call around in your market. Maybe they charge 8, maybe they charge 11. Just 10's a pretty safe place to start. But yeah, definitely want to call around, interview those property management companies, see what they actually are going to charge you. So make sure to account for that. And even if you're going to self-manage, still 100% still make this an expense in your numbers, right? Because if you are going to self-manage, you need to understand that you're buying yourself a job and you need to be paid for that job. So you definitely have to account for those numbers. Also, it gives you the flexibility, like, hey, I just got a promotion, I just had a child, I no longer have so much time in my life anymore, I can't self-manage these. Okay, boom, now I can just pass this on to a property manager and the numbers still work, it's all still good. Vacancy, again, this is going to be dependent on the property type. So if it's a single family house and it's a 3-4 bedroom, it's got a garage, it's got a backyard, this vacancy number is going to be a little bit lower than if it was a 1 bedroom apartment with no, yard, stuff like that. Maybe closer to a school or something. So I think a 5% is a decent spot to start there. But again, take into account the property type you're looking at. A single family house with like 4 bedrooms and a garage, like a family is going to move in that, and they're probably not going to just up and leave every 12 months, right? But a 1 bedroom apartment, it's going to be like single people, students. Those are going to have a little bit more turnover, a little bit more vacancy. Capital expenditures. This is basically you want to put money away every single month for the things that are going to go wrong with your property eventually. So, eventually you're going to have to replace all the appliances. Eventually you're going to have to redo the flooring. Eventually the furnace is going to go out. Eventually the roof is going to go out. Eventually you're going to have to rewire the entire property, someday in the future. So you need to be putting away money every single month for those capital expenditures. 7%, it's a good place to start again, but this is going to depend on your particular property. If the property's built in like 1890 and it's got a bunch of deferred maintenance, I would crank that up way higher than 7%. But if it's like a 2020 build, you can certainly go less than 7 for sure. But again, 7's a good place to start. Lawn care, snow removal, this if you're going to be paying for this, if it's a duplex and you're going to be doing the lawn care, stuff like that, here's a spot to account for that. Utilities, again, if maybe it's a multifamily building and the utilities are not split and it's going to have to work out where you're going to have to pay the utilities, here's a spot to pay that. And also any other expense that might be associated with this property, like if there's an HOA, if you're going to get a private money lender on the deal and you need to make them a payment every month, like just anything else that needs to be accounted for that is a cost of ownership of this property. And then that's going to give you your total expenses. Here it's going to spit out the cash flow. And below that is your stabilized cash on cash return. So this is basically your cash on cash return is a reflection of like, hey, how much money did I put into this deal compared to how much money does it kick off to me every single month or year. So this is basically taking the amount of cash you put into the property with the down payment, closing costs, the renovation, compared to how much money it's going to kick off to you every single year. So $100 a month, 3% cash on cash return, and maybe not really what I'm looking for, honestly. I'd like to see a little bit higher than 3% cash on cash return. But it's going to be up to you, and maybe you don't even care about cash flow at all. Maybe you just care about your total ROI here. And again, we'll get to that here too. So here you can put in like, hey, how much appreciation is my market doing every single year? So if you're in the Midwest, in maybe a smaller town, this is going to be lower, like, I don't know, we'll call it 1% appreciation. If you're in New York, California, Miami, like crazy appreciation cities, okay, yeah, you can enter that accordingly. And then the stabilized value, so you can enter this in, and this is basically what the property is worth after you fix it up. So you bought it for 150, you put $5,000 into it. Let's say you repainted it or something, and bam, now it's worth 200. That's going to help us calculate this number here. So this is going to be your total ROI, which is not super technical. It does leave some stuff out, but it's essentially your cash flow, the average amount of principal pay down you're paying down every single month, because you're going to get a loan. Part of that's going to be principal, so that's kind of like money in your bank account. That's your equity. And then it's also going to take into account appreciation, and it's going to compare that to the cash you put into the property. So this is, again, not a really technical thing, but I like to measure this for sure because it's important to me. So this is going to be like your total ROI, and keep in mind this does not include the tax benefits. So if you're going to have like $10,000 worth of tax savings for buying this real estate, it does not account for that, but it does account for cash flow, the fact that you're paying down a loan, and then also the appreciation of the property. So at 1% appreciation, it's 9.5%. So not something I'd be jumping up and down about, but hey, maybe the rent isn't $1,200, maybe I can get $1,500 out of it. Now we're at $300 a month. Now we're at 9.5% cash on cash return and 16%. Okay, the numbers are starting to look a little bit better. But play around with this, and you can use it to see what properties might be a good deal, where it needs to be a good deal at. So maybe this property isn't a good deal, at 150, but if you're at $100,000, oops, 100,000. It's hard to count the zeros without the commas. Maybe you had $100,000, and that brings your payment down to, oh geez, I don't know, 600 or something. Bam! Now we're starting to get some good cash flow, good cash on cash return, and some good total ROI. So this kind of is going to tell you what the numbers look like, where you do need to be. Also, there's a kind of a rough mortgage calculator over here, so this is going to give you something to kind of figure out what your principal and interest is. Honestly, there's a lot better ones like bankrate.com or mortgage calculator. Just Google mortgage calculator, you'll get a good one. That'll help you figure out what your PITI is going to be. But here's one in here that I like to quickly use sometimes. So once you have underwrote the deal, you found out what purchase price the property works at, send that offer. Don't even honestly look at what price they're asking. Just look at what number it works for you and send that offer. And this is it's gonna be a mindset shift for you. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, they're asking 300,000 and my offer's 150. Like, but you have to break that idea in your mind that a good offer is a high offer. Like, that's not a good offer. A good offer is a offer that you can perform on and you're confident in. And that's the mindset you need to go into it with. So sure, a lot of these offers are going to get rejected. Who cares? You only really need one to say yes, and bam, you got your first deal. So send out these offers. It's going to be a volume game. The agent, if you get a good investor agent, they're going to understand. They're going to know, like, hey, it takes numbers, and they're going to help also point you in the direction of the properties that might be open to negotiation or might be close to the numbers that we need already. So it's going to be key. So send that offer no matter what. This was a whole waste of time if you don't send the offer. So number 3, if you've done that for, call it 30 days straight, and you've sent out 150 offers, bam, somebody said yes. Heck yeah. Now it's time to do the due diligence and close. So this is going to seem a little backwards, right? You're probably not going to go walk through 5 properties a day while you're sending offers. So just skip that. Just do your walkthrough during your inspection period. This will allow you to basically go way faster, send way more offers. And there's going to be an inspection period anyway, so you might as well just take advantage of that. Do your walkthrough during that time. During the inspection period, you can basically back out for whatever reason you make up. It does not matter at all, and you get your earnest money back, and it's like no consequences to you. So do your walkthrough during this time. Confirm your numbers. So how you want to confirm your numbers, first you need to definitely verify your rents. The rent numbers that you used are accurate. So you can call around local property managers. What would they rent this property for? Do they have similar properties in the neighborhood? What are they renting for? That sort of thing. Get estimates from contractors. Hey, like, you're budgeting, I think this property needs $10K in work to get the rent to X number. I would call in some contractors, get them in there during that inspection period and be like, hey, these are the renovations that I need. What is that going to cost me? And verify that it actually is going to be 10K and it's not going to be 50K or something. You also definitely want to do a home inspection during this due diligence process, during your inspection period. And it's going to suck. You're going to be like, I don't want to spend the money, like the depending on your market, 200, 500, 600 bucks, whatever it is. But the thing is, like, that home inspector is going to go through, first of all, they're going to show you everything that's wrong. There's going to be stuff that you definitely missed. That you want to know about, so that's going to be awesome. But also, it's going to give you, like, some negotiating power to go to the seller with and be like, hey, like, the inspector found like 10 grand worth of things that I didn't know about. Like, hey, what can we do about this? Can you give me a credit? Can we reduce the purchase price? Like, I'm willing to walk away from the deal because I did not know about this. And you can use that as a leverage big time. So you might spend 500 bucks on a home inspection, but you might get 1,500, 2 grand, 10 grand back from it. So good investment. Also, it gives you additional knowledge about your own property. So good investment. Get a home inspection. Use it to negotiate. And then now make it a tennis match with the lender and the title company. So the lender is going to be like, hey, we need this from you. Do not delay. Like, the one thing that can, like, not the one thing, but the main thing that can kill this deal or drag it out or ruin the deal is going to be the lender in their loan process, because they're so freaking slow. I don't know why. It's crazy. But basically, anytime they ask something from you, get it back to them within 20 minutes. Like, make that a rule. Every single time they email you, set up notifications, make them a starred contact. I don't care how you do it. Every time they email something from you, they need a document. Stop what you're doing, get them that, and then go back to it, back to whatever you're doing, because they're gonna basically need something from you. And it's gonna take them like 2-3 days to process what you sent to them. So immediately start that cadence of, hey, like that. You send me something, right back in your cart. Ball's back in your cart. What do you like? Let's get this process moving. Yeah, and then immediately send them anything they need. This applies to the title company as well, but it's going to be most important, I found, with the lender. So this is the process I would use if I've never done a deal before. You can, there's, just so you know, obviously there's levels to this, right? Once you're advanced, you're going to start working with wholesalers. You're going to use hard money. You're going to ditch your buyer side agent. You're going to use the double dip strategy and stuff. But I'm telling you this so you know, like, there are levels to this game, but don't worry about this stuff right now. What you need to worry about is what I just lined up. This is the route for new investors to lose the least amount of money possible, to put it nicely. So definitely, I would follow that route, and I would encourage everybody who has never done a deal before to go that route if you want to do everything on your own. Alternatively, you could also partner with somebody who has more experience. And a lot of people have, I would say, a mental hurdle around this. Like, no, I want the whole pie. I don't want to split the pie with anybody. But the thing is, the first pie, if you make it all yourself and you're a real estate investor, you've never done this before, you make the first pie, okay, you do the first deal, it's going to be a small amount of money. You're definitely going to learn a lot, though, so that's going to be good, but you're not going to make a lot of money in your first deal. Most likely, you're going to lose money. But it's the cost of tuition is what it is. You can also skip that process by basically partnering with somebody with more experience. You get the education, you figure out all the things they're doing, and you don't lose the money. And yes, you do split the pie, but the old saying, a slice of a watermelon, much, much larger than an entire grape. So that's something to consider for sure. And if you did want to partner, if you're interested in working together with me, there's going to be a link in the description to set up a call. We can talk, see if we're a good fit even, and we'll roll from there. But yeah, hopefully you guys took something from this video, and I do implore you to take action. Follow this process, or reach out, find somebody who you trust, partner with them, do your first deal, and basically start the process of becoming a real estate investor.